Here's the full guide on how to create a new jazz beat completely from scratch on FL Studio. Let's start by setting our tempo to around 130 beats per minute. Whilst new jazz is a subgenre of trap, it's slightly slower than your average 140 beats per minute trap tracks. Now let's go into our channel rack and load in our first sound. We want to create a soft jazz sound, so we want to use something like an electric piano. I've taken this preset from Analog Lab, but you can use FL keys if you don't have this plugin. Now, here's exactly what makes a new jazz beat a new jazz beat. This next step is by far the most important. Typically, we would use triads in trap music, which contain the root, the third, and the fifth notes in the scale. Or for rage beats or rock melodies, we would use power chords, which contain the first and the fifth. However, jazz music has a unique sound, which is only achievable by using 7th or 9th chords, which contain the root, third, fifth, 7th, and or 9th. In this example, I'm using 7th chords only for my melody. I've decided to use the key of G minor for this track, which we can select by going up here to View, Scale Highlighting, selecting G for the root note and minor for the scale. Now we can see exactly what notes we can use. We can now lay down a simple chord progression using 7th chords. Once these chords are down, make sure to humanize your melody by adjusting the velocities down here and also adjusting the start times of these notes. Alternatively, you can go up here to the wrench tool and select the randomize or humanize option. This will make our melody sound like it's being played live instead of sounding robotic and computerized. Alternatively, and preferably, use analog equipment like a real electric piano or a synth to play this in yourself. Here's how this will sound. Now let's press Ctrl, left click and drag over this, and press Ctrl and C to copy this, and paste this into our next sound. Here I've taken a key from Analog Lab again. Using multiple layers or different sounds is a great technique to use to fill out your melodies. Now let's add some more real sounds to make this sound like it's being played by a live jazz band. I've taken this trumpet and copied the chords from the end of each 2 bars. Here's how it will sound alongside the piano and keys. Then we can add this string stab to the beginning of the pattern, and also this reverse string stab to the end. These simply play the root note of the first chord. Now let's add some lead sounds to fill this melody out. We want to play a repetitive lead pattern which is going to sit in the background of the track. Here I've created my own lead in Serum. Here's how this sounds. Then I've created this pattern with a lead from X-Band 2. I was simply using notes from the chords to find something that complemented the rest of the melody. As long as we're using notes in the scale, this will never sound out of key. And finally, our top line melody, which will be at the front of the mix. This is a very repetitive pattern that will complement the rest of the melody. Again, I used an X-Band 2 lead for this one. And here's how the melody will sound altogether. Now onto the 808s and the drums. This is also super important. We don't want to use an aggressive distorted bass line. 808s like spins are no good for these type of beats. We want to use something softer. Examples of good 808s for new jazz are the Chase the Money, or CTM for short, or the Zay 808. For this pattern, here's the 808 I used. We're simply copying the root notes of the chords for this pattern. In a lot of new jazz tracks, you'll also notice that there's these short bass stabs, so I use this sound here. Now we just need a simple clap pattern that's going to play on the 3rd and 7th beat. A hi-hat, where I've also added this Portal delay preset. Some open hats. And some transition effects. For the arrangement for the beat, we want to cut short sections of the beat out and chop up the drums to add variation. You'll see these small gaps and these stutters that I've used. This is simply achievable by taking the slice tool and cutting out the sections that you wish to cut out. We also want to keep all of the elements of the melody playing during the hook, and take out the lead elements during the verses to leave space for the vocals, slowly adding these back in towards the hook. Anyway, here's how the final beat sounds. I hope you learned something in this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content, and I'll see you in the next one.